Susan, I would like to put an end to the interview. I want to ask you kind of sum up the ideas that we have discussed for nearly an hour. And what I want you to do is, for a person that has been listening to us and they want to start today making changes in their life, embracing this emotional agility, what are the practical ways they can do that?
Okay, so to sum up, emotional agility is not about being positive all the time. We've got that. It's about being able to be with all of our emotions, our thoughts, and our stories, not push them aside, learn from them, and to take values-connected steps. So that's really what emotional agility is. What does this look like in practice? The first aspect, showing up. If today you are feeling frustrated or bored or angry, don't argue with yourself. Don't get stuck in the fact that you should or shouldn't. Just be, this is how I'm feeling. Be kind to yourself about that. That's showing up. The second thing we want to do is you want to say, I want to get curious, okay? What is the value that's beneath this emotion? What is my emotion actually trying to tell me here about what's important to me? Okay, so this is a kind of critical thing. Second strategy we can start using when we start stepping out is what we spoke about, which is about labeling your emotion is incredibly helpful. Writing about your emotions, incredibly helpful. And the third thing that I'm going to add to that is, if you're saying something like, I am sad, I am angry, there's no space between you and your emotion. You're making you, all of you, 100% of you, your emotion. Instead, try to say, instead of I am sad, I'm noticing that I'm feeling sad. Instead of I am angry, I'm noticing that I'm feeling angry. Why? Because what you're doing is you are not your emotion. You are not sad. You are a person with many different aspects to yourself. So when you start noticing the thought, the feeling, the story for what it is, it's a thought, a feeling, a story, it's not a fact, you create critical space. So that's stepping out. Walking your why. What are my values in this situation? What is fundamentally important to me? Now, values often seem abstract, but actually every day we have hundreds of choice points that either bring us towards our values or away from our values. Imagine health is your value. Do I choose the fruit? That brings me towards my value. Do I choose the muffin? That takes me away from my value. If I value presence and connectedness with my children, do I bring my cell phone to the table? That takes me away from my value. Or do I put my cell phone in the drawer with my keys and go spend time with them? That takes me towards my value. So the third part of emotional agility, walking your why, is saying, what are my values here and what are choice points, critical aspects that I could shift that would help me? And then the last is really identifying when you would do those things. So if you value a loving, kind relationship with your spouse or your partner where you see one another, that's what you value. But you recognize that every time the person comes home from work and you come home from work, you grunt at each other and go turn on the TV or go on social media. It might be that that minute of the day is a minute that you decide that you're going to put down whatever you're doing and go and hug the person and say hello. It's what I call a tiny tweak, a micro moment in your day that is values connected. Because a lot of times when people are trying to make change, they think that they need to sell up and go live on a wine farm in France or do something completely different. But what we know is that small values-connected changes on the ground make a difference. So show up to your emotions. Don't argue with yourself for having them. Be kind to yourself. Be curious about what your emotions are trying to tell you. Recognize that your emotions are data, but they're not directives. You get to choose. What choice do you make? What are your values telling you? And then moving on, what do you need to do in the moment, in the day? It might be in a meeting, it might be in a conversation with someone, it might be in how you spend your first 5 minutes of the morning that feels more values connected, and start building that more into your life.
Susan, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you for inviting me to be here.